Messiah. Someone comes to liberate you from your position, your status, from the things wrong with your life. And as modern times evolve and change, what's wrong with your life is increasingly financial. If only I made enough money, my life would be better. If only I had money to see me through this emergency, my life would be better. If I was in the Maldives, life would be better. And in this savior complex, in this idea that someone has to come and alleviate me from the stress, the strife, the trouble, it's going to be a man. A man, it's his responsibility, it's his duty, it's his calling in life to come and save me. Maybe not save. Maybe save is too charged of a word. There's too much electricity in there. There's too much misogyny, patriarchy in save, rescue. But assist, right? Assist. He's supposed to alleviate things, boredom, financial stress. Right? He's supposed to be there to make my life easier in the terms, in the way I see it, in the way I want it. Now, this is not me, right? I'm not looking for a guy to come save me, but the internet is inundated with conversations like this. And so is real life. There is an expectation on men to come and be better than their nature, to ascend. And in that ascension, during that process, to also bring up the family, bring up a woman. So when we have this idea, and we understand Cinderella is a fairy tale, but fairy tales are the stuff of our childhood. We sometimes later on in life, we realize that a lot of stuff that we've been exposed to, we realize when we are younger, becomes the foundation of our belief system. You are whatever religion you are, more than likely because you were born under a certain country, flag, creed, parents. A lot of the stuff you believe in fundamentally wasn't really your choice. It was what the people around you, in their effort to protect and guide you, what they taught you. They didn't give you full autonomy the minute you can think. You still couldn't reason properly. You took those Brussels sprouts and you chucked them, right? But they were healthy for you. You took the broccoli, you chucked it. That was healthy for you. You wanted to grab some syrup and just chug it. Not healthy for you. You had to have them step in and guide you. And they did it as best they could. In doing so, they're also imparting upon you their ideals. And sometimes they don't have time to properly impart this on you. So what happens? We put you in front of TV. We read you stories. We let the rest of the world do their part in socializing you. It's unavoidable. Part of that socialization, seemingly today, is happening online. The thought was that this was when you were younger. You didn't have a time. You didn't have a real choice to properly sift through what was right or wrong, what made sense. Well, as an adult, you're supposed to also have that ability. You're supposed to have the wherewithal to say, wait a second, none of this or some of this doesn't make sense. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. You can see what makes sense for your life. You can see what is realistic. You can see what is aspirational. You see what is now detrimental. And you're supposed to be the sieve. You're supposed to be the filter. You don't need your parents out there doing it for you. You don't need anyone else coming and telling you what is right or what is wrong. You know for yourself. You're supposed to. You're supposed to. But one of those things that has permeated, that has passed through the sieve, the filter, or it was simply allowed through, is the notion that a man, a rich man, is going to come and save the day. But before we dive into that topic, right? It is Subscriber Sunday, so thank you guys for being here. If I am not here, actual me live, I'm in the chat. Hey, duty calls, but so does Subscriber Sunday. I didn't want to leave you guys last minute with something, with nothing. And just a note in the community tab, my bad. And like I said, I have fun doing these, and these are sometimes rejuvenation. These are good for rejuvenation, so we do them. So if you are in the chat, I'm in the chat. I'm going to be in there checking on you, laughing, joking with the rest of you guys, kiki, and a little ha ha ha. But again, if you guys are new here, you know the thing. Double tap the screen, hit that subscribe button. One of the best ways you can actually support the channel is just by doing that, showing up in the chat. And for those of you that are historically in the chat right now, thank you. It's probably it's what makes this fun. And I regret that I can't be on screen reacting to what you guys are saying, but I'll be in there in the chat with you guys. Besides that, again, like the stream, double tap your screen, right? Do all the great YouTube stuff that's important. If you feel so moved, you can donate whichever way you feel so inclined. Write down, you could see right there. Yeah, you can see. Get your dirty thoughts out your head. You can see Cash App Venmo right there, and super chat's always welcome. Besides that, listen, we got some show. We will make sure we go over some things and make sure we didn't leave you guys without a little bit of entertainment. For those of you that have gotten to the point where you look forward to these, thank you. Thank you. And I'm trying to do my part in terms of consistency. So if you're new here, the show goes as the show goes, right? It's love and money, crashing out, agree or disagree. And then our topic, we're going to talk about, the idea that this person is supposed to come and grip you tight and raise you from perdition, right? For those of you that are Bible thumpers out here. Besides that, we're going to have some fun along the way. Usually the way these go, if, we don't mind being sidetracked. If something's happening in chat, we typically don't mind being sidetracked. But since I'm not doing this for you live, and forgiveness, right? We just want to make sure at least we had a little something for our Sunday, how we start the week, or for those of you that like to end the week like this. Besides that, love and money. All right, listen, we it's difficult being in relationships. We get that, right? We all understand the difficulty in that. And when things go left, one of the smartest things you can do is simply leave. Like if someone cheats on you, you can just leave. But now in our society, we have this idea of that, okay, you did this to me, I got to get my lick back. I got to go tit for tat. I got a revenge cheat. But I still stay in a relationship thinking that because you did this to me, if I do this to you, somehow they cancel out. We would love if this was a simple algebraic sort of, calculation, but you want to stack hurt on top of hurt and think that'll teach them. For some people, this it makes sense to them. I personally believe it's a sign of, immaturity. If you're hurt, leave. If you're going to forgive that person, go through the process of it, but understand once you decide to stay, you also have to leave that part in the past. Otherwise, you constantly kind of pull at this and try to use this, and every time you're upset about something, you didn't take out the trash because you were talking that other bitch. That's not how this works. Let it go. If you're going to do that and stay in a relationship, stay. If not, leave. But revenge cheat, you have to understand that sometimes, what's good for the goose isn't necessarily good for the gander. But you're free to do what you want to do. This is still America by all accounts.
So I lived with my boyfriend of 2 years, and I'm pregnant with another guy.
Oh,
ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little more. How did this happen, and how do you know it's the other guys?
My boyfriend's sterile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes. They say that, and then it still breaks through.
I'm at a loss for
Yeah,
words.
he was just like cheating and stuff, and then I continue to do the same.
Get back. He did it, so I did it, right? So I did it. Except there might be consequences for you, right? He cheated, and okay, now I'm going to do the same. But lo and behold, there's differences in our anatomy. There's differences in how this goes. Oh yeah, but he did. Okay, cool, understandable. You're hurt. You can leave, work through it. You could revenge cheat and end up pregnant. Also a possibility. But now we would hope at some point in time, now some adult will come in here and sort of inject reality and say, hey, we need to put a stop to everything that's happening here.
So how are you gonna tell your boyfriend, because he knows it's not his?
He's thinking it is.
I thought you just said he was sterile.
Oh my.
Well, yeah, but he's thinking like, it's that one in a something chance,
In terms of taking revenge, I feel like that's it's a step too far, right? It's a step too far. You're pregnant, he thinks it is, and you're sure it's not. Because you probably haven't revealed that who you've been cheating with, who you've been cheating on him with, and that you have been cheating. So why? You can see why this might be crushing. You can see why, in terms of revenge, I get it. If you're just looking at pure spite, pure revenge, he thinks he can't have children. He thinks he's stale. He's come to the grips with that. He's understanding, like, yeah, man, so this will never happen for me. And then lo and behold, the gods have opened up the clouds and blessed me with a child, even to a woman I've done wrong, but she stuck by me. This is so joyous. And you're like, nah. This is when we put things under the guise, under umbrella, and we just use that umbrella of rationale, of justification. Yo, it's fine. He did that first. You understand why sometimes we look at this and say, if you live your life reactionary and you use it to justify, rationalize behavior. I did this because he did that first. I only did bad because he did bad first. Ladies, you know you're not toddlers, right? That's how a toddler reasons. You don't get to just be like, well, he did it first. He did me wrong, so I punish him with my absence. I leave. I don't continue to stay in this thing. He put his hands on me, so I left. Period. I'm not looking for any good in him. I'm not looking to see if I can fix and transfer. I left. And I did whatever I can through the legal system to throw him under the bus. Absolutely. I called the cops. I told his mama, right? I shame him online, all of that. But you can't see where you could possibly get to the point where you're revenge cheating and now you're hurting yourself. I think that at this point that becomes sort of obvious.
I mean, there might be a little chance it is.
No.
Is it like, is one guy like black, other guy white?
Asian?
One's Chinese and one's black.
How do
Come on now. Come on now. You can't pass that off.
See what I tell you? Oh my gosh. Are you gonna leave your boyfriend?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
I think so. So are you gonna move out? Or are you gonna try to get him to move out? And are you gonna be with this other guy?
It's probably not a good situation either. He's a 24/7 gamer.
Oh my gosh.
So you revenge cheat with what you would usually just describe as a loser.
Wow.
I know.
This whole thing is a mess.
No DNA test needed.
No.
Oh, I feel so bad. I wonder how your boyfriend's gonna take it.
I don't know.
It sounds like you don't even really like him.
I have love for him, but a lot was done in between the relationship. So.
How many months are you?
I just found out like yesterday.
Oh.
Hey, listen, that collective that was like, oh, this is solvable. Right? We might not want to say it on air, but this is a solvable situation. This is not a thing that has no solution. No, we can take care of this. We can make sure this isn't like a life-changing issue. Right? But you should absolutely leave him. You should absolutely leave him. So listen, if you know how like women think about it. Women in chat, correct me if I'm wrong. If your man cheats on you, you at least want him to cheat up. Right? You at least want him to cheat up. You want him to cheat out. You want it to come out and be like, I can see it. I can see it. Right? There was a clip a long time ago. A woman, she was trying to shame the other woman. Right? She was like, yo, this is who she shared a picture of her. And then she was like, and this is the woman he cheated on me with. Woman was gorgeous. Gorgeous. Like you could, if you listen, this is the cheated on girlfriend, ex, whatever. You went to her page and you picked out these photos that you were using for the comparison. You had photos of you and you had photos of her. So I'm thinking you're going to take the best photos of you, the worst photos of her for the internet to see. That's the frame of thinking. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know. I think that makes sense. So what she ended up posting was exactly, in the rest of our ideas, that framework. And then when you showed that woman, the one that he cheated on you with, we were like, God. The entire internet was like, yeah, I see why he did it. Like, you can't shame it. If you pick, these are the bad photos she has, I see why he did it. And that's the worst thing you want to hear, right? When you come to the internet, you're looking for sympathy. You're using the internet as your journal, as your diary, as your therapist. And imagine sitting across your therapist and you say, can you believe it? He's like, yep. Yep. I could absolutely see why he left, why he cheated on you. I could absolutely see it. You were a terrible person. Just beauty-wise, just beauty. You could be the nicest person in the world. But yeah, he traded up. That's the last thing you want to hear, you want to see, you want to think about when it comes down to you leaving someone else. I want to break up with you, and the rest of whatever happens in your life, I want it to be trash. I want it to be scum. But sometimes people do better after breakup. Sometimes people do you wrong and then still do better. The world ain't fair, right? Just like revenge cheating and then getting pregnant with a guy that you kind of deem a loser. But listen, teach his own. But this is just we got another example of revenge cheating, and sometimes you have to convince yourself. You have to convince yourself that this makes sense. That this in your head, I'm doing a good thing. I'm doing an amazing thing. Look at me. Okay, look at me. Like I won. I won.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
That's what I'm saying.
When I broke up with someone, I had sex with every single person he knew. Every single person. His best friend. His best friend.
I'll be right back again.
I get it, right? I get it. You want to punish him. You want to punish him, but you're gonna now have sex with everyone he knows. But what if, right? And just understand this. What if he knew? Right? What if he already knew? And Blair, I'm looking at you. If my ex broke with me and she's like, and she starts hitting on you, and you just hit me up like, yo, she's doing this. I'm like, yo, go for it, right? Enjoy yourself. And then you keep going, and you don't think that your idea is that this is the best thing I'm going to hurt him with, because all his friends are going to be the ones that have sex with me, versus you're talking about all my friends, and I'm like, I'm giving them the blessing. But let's say I don't. Let's say this is to hurt me. This is spite me. This feels bad for me. How many men have you just had sex with to think that this is, what does it show about your character versus my character? Oh, I did you wrong. Cool, right? Cool. Leave, break up, whatever. But to, sort of debase yourself in this act because you're saying, I don't really value what I'm giving, what I was giving to you, I'm giving to everyone else now. Same thing, you break up, you lose, you're out of a relationship, and you say, oh, it's hot girl summer. It's diverse, you go out there and you sleep with a bunch of men, and somehow you're thinking that is the best way to hurt someone. The motivation behind it is the thing. If you want to sleep with a bunch of men, fine, sleep with a bunch of men. If you want to sleep with a bunch of my friends and they're willing, okay, it tells me more about them than anything. But if I'm out here cheating on you, all of them already know about it, and you just, sometimes you may not know, you may not understand what you are to that guy. You may think that this is a full-blown relationship to him. No, you're convenience. You're just a constant convenience. So now you think, I'll show him. I'll lower myself and sleep with a bunch of his friends, all of his friends, everyone he's ever known, everyone he's ever talked to, everyone he's ever dapped up. I'm gonna sleep with them. That'll show him. So who are you thinking about while some guy's on top of you? You thinking about me, or you thinking about you think about yourself and thinking, yeah, I'm so consumed with revenge. He's gonna hurt so much. He's gonna hurt so much when he realizes all his friends hit, or he's gonna look and say, oh shit, Nick's won, right? They're like, yeah. There's water on the bridge. Also, shout out to the Knicks. I'll shout out to the Knicks, right? We finally got one. Please do not destroy the city in the coming days and weeks.
Hold on. You did it for revenge?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Every single fucking person.
And you're saying, like,
None of them resisted. They couldn't resist.
Absolutely not. Not even his best friend.
It was your ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
No, I'm one of his close friends too.
He went into acting mode.
You talking about Jimmy?
Again, I know you don't get a bunch of laughs, and we make it sound like this is it. This is cool. But we always understood. Woman, you can sleep with a bunch of men, right? You can sleep with a bunch of men like that, easy, no problem. Tonight, by the end of the stream, you can text a couple guys and they will be happily on their way over with flowers, with chocolate, with a bottle of Hennessy, right? Or whatever drink is your choice. Yeah, easily. That's not the sign of a job well done. Wow, I really showed him. You showed us what we already know, what we already accepted as gospel. As gospel. You saw this is why the double standard exists. If we flip it, right? If you flip it, you say, listen, she cheated on me, so I slept with all her friends. They're gonna look at that and say, that was a project. That was a well-layered project. Because it's not so easy to do it on the other side. That looks like a revenge story. And again, you don't have to like it. You can be upset with it, but this is what the double standard sort of is. It would take real effort for you to go through that rigmarole. It would cost you money. You would be fully invested in this plan, rather than, hey, I worked my way through his boys. I just text, call, and they came through. I showed up. I grabbed their junk and it was on. Simple. But either way, I think both sides, if you're so consumed with that amount of revenge, if you're so much thinking about that person, might as well just try to work it out with them. Might as well try to work it out with them. Or,
It sounds good.
therapy, right? You could just do that. You could legitimately just do that. But in that same vein, in that same thought, when we talk about why it's difficult, why a man would be praised for doing something like that, it's very simple because, it's exemplified on dating apps. When men will be on dating apps and not get a match. Some people go a year without getting a like, without getting a match, without getting any type of thing. The only notifications they get from the app is telling them, hey, pay for this. Pay for this. Or there's no one in your area. Pay for this. Pay this. This is why it's difficult, why it's different. Again, I think your revenge cheating is dumb, but it's one of access. It's one of, can you do it versus, I don't know, it's just no problem for me whatsoever.
I was on this dating app. In 6 months, I had 0 likes. I was like, guys, I'm not fucking George Clooney, but this is impossible.
See like that? That's a laugh of incredulity. Like, yo, no way. No way.
This is impossible. Some wildebeest would have liked me by now. And every day there'd be these things where it'd be like, you want more notice? Raise your profile, pay this much more. And I'm like, what a fucking scam this is, man. And every woman I knew on the app, I get like a dozen a day. It's like, of course you do.
Joe, this is so funny. You're like, I'm likable.
In 6 months? That's insane.
That's life. that's legitimately just, that's life. That's what it is. That's what the numbers purport. You can be Mr. Loverboy. You can be everything you're supposed to be, but it's not your time. Right? It's not your time. It's not your time to win. You're just stuck. Right? You're just stuck. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to think? Hang in there, pay more money. Listen, we understand the majority base is going to be male. The majority spenders is going to be males. But if the app is legitimately not putting together bots, not falsifying likes, yeah, you could be out there and not get any type of attention. What are we going to do? Force a woman? Hey, you got to like 5 ugly dudes a day. Apps don't exist like that. They just reflect choice. They just reflect choice. It sometimes sucks being a man, right? And in terms of if you're not what women are looking for, it sucks. Sucks. And either that or, you know, try to go out and show people, hey, listen, I'm actually funny in real life. I'm actually a person in real life. Hey, maybe you're having a really bad day. Maybe you're having a really bad day and you feel really bad about yourself. I'm here. I'm here. We can probably work something out. You know, I got a great spirit. I got a great spirit. But even we see this on other shows, like the Whatever podcast is a popular one to highlight. Sometimes the band doesn't make sense. And I think this sometimes ends up being the bigger or the sillier thing, where men are looking and saying, okay, you want these things, these are your standards, these are your boundaries, these are your preferences, right? We love those words because those words mean anything I say after this becomes unassailable. I say my preference is for a guy that is 6 feet tall. You can't tell me I shouldn't want that because it's my preference, right? Well, for, you know, we protect women's preferences. But when a man says my preference is for a woman that's in shape, a woman that is childless, my preference is for blondes, my preference is for white women. Now we have a lot to say about every single preference. Now preferences aren't so inviolable. They can be attacked. Well, why would you want? My preference is for a woman 20 years younger than me. And here are the names. Here's everything else that comes with it. So some of these conversations that we constantly have, one, you can push back on some of these things. Two, you hide it on the preference and we're supposed to believe it. But we're coming to a point where we're just saying, okay, shut up. like shut up. That's not, your preference is your preference, but your preference does not really fully exist or conform in this reality. You're from a different universe, one in which what you're bringing forward does not matter. And the more we run away from some of these conversations, a simple one, what do you bring to the table? And we say, oh, here's a list of reasons why I don't want to answer that question. Here's a list of excuses why I refuse to answer that question. Okay. But when you refuse to answer that question, you bring nebulous things and wonder why you're not finding a guy that meets the things in your checklist. It's a very simple reason, because the longer it takes you to answer that question, the more dubious everything else that comes out your mouth is. Just take a look. Let me know.
I care more so on having a good home, finances to go traveling with my kids and family, a nice car that's going to be reliable.
You don't need a guy who makes $1 million a year for that.
I would prefer it. I know I don't need it, but that's just my preference.
Okay, what is the minimum yearly income to be your future husband?
I know I wrote $1 million, but I'm minimum $500.
A man can provide all that without making $1 million.
But it's my preference. Right? It's my preference. That should be honored. It's my preference. Isn't that how it works? Isn't that how we understand it to be? Does that sound? If he's trying to have a reasonable conversation, saying, you don't need these things. You don't really need someone that makes $1 million to give the things that you just listed off. But okay, let's say that's your preference, and we have to go again. We have to try and be real and honor these things.
Not in the way that LA life is and everything getting so expensive. And that's like a little over what an anesthesiologist makes. Like,
are you an anesthesiologist?
No, I'm not. No.
What are you?
I'm a florist.
So you make like $40K a year? This idea that you can't have a comfortable life staying at home and the man need like 500K is the minimum, you can get like much further down. Go ahead.
I have 2 kids.
You're how old?
Okay. Okay. Florist, 2 kids, you live in LA, you want a lifestyle that you currently can't afford, but it's your preference. So we're supposed to look at that and say, it's fine. It's fine. Okay?
30.
You're 30 years old. You have 2 kids from 2 different men. Mm-hmm. You've been divorced once. This is what men are dealing with. You gotta have multiple M's in the bank. This is hoflation to date a woman with 2 kids from 2 men.
This is why we look at it and say, okay, when you just label something your preference, that doesn't excuse your preference for not existing in reality. And we say it's reality. We say reality because we're looking and looking at it from the men's point of view, the ones that make that amount of money, the ones that make $500,000, $1 million a year, the ones that are doctors and anesthesiologists, are they going for or make a little bit better, a little bit more than a doctor anesthesiologist in LA? Are they the ones going and saying, yeah, this is the type of woman I'm looking for? If that was the case, they just have their pick. They just go around and say, that's what I want. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. But realistically, we're trying to adhere to what's real, because again, that's where most of us exist. You have to say at one point in time or some point in time, when we take a step back and we just let that play out, how many more women are we going to see get to further towards the end of their life and have real conversations? What we're played with online is more of the fairy tale. And then we're played with a lack of honesty when it comes to people telling their story. You make it seem as if it's all rainbow and sunshine and, yeah, I never needed a man. I never wanted a man, so I never had that. And this is what fuels the next generation. This is the idea that, okay, yeah, no, I don't need that because look at her. She's made it. She has such a wonderful life. And look what she didn't have a man. She didn't have any of that. You don't see the truth. Just like social media is telling you one thing, showing you the yacht, showing you the party, showing you nightlife in Miami, showing you everyone smiling, having a great time. No one shows you the hangover. You never see the hangover of life. And even when they try to show you at the after party, we're waking up, we got sunshades on, but we're at the pool, we're recovering from last night. It's still glamorous. But it never shows you that hollow feeling inside. It never shows you alone, crying. It doesn't show you when your phone's not going off, when you're no longer in vogue, you're no longer popular, no one else is calling you. It never shows that mental health decline. It never shows you how many women have or are on antidepressants. It never shows you any of that. It just shows you how great life is, and you eat it up every single time. We think this is the way we're supposed to live. We think this makes sense. And where did you adopt that idea? Where did the fairy tale supplant your reality? You want someone making $500,000? You want someone making $1 million? Have you ever dated someone like that? If so, why'd you let them get away? Right? Why'd you let them get away? The more you look at stuff online, the more you just look, and you have to start wondering and saying, I think you're lying. Right? I think you're lying. I think a lot of you put on caps. I think a lot of you take pride in just straight up lying. And then making the rest of us think that this has to be reality. Making the rest of us think that, yo, this makes sense. So if you're telling us this is what you want, then those that want to give it to you are supposed to be the ones that step forward and suddenly appear. Life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. Sorry to say, happy to say, it's just, again, it's a fairy tale. Reality is very, very much different. Very much different. Well, listen, again, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, double tap that screen, like the stream, do all that, the great YouTube stuff, right? Little prompt, little reminder. Again, Subscriber Sundays. We got one more, Love and Money. And this one is, not so much with the relationships, but it's still important when we're looking, and we look generationally, we look and say, sometimes we put the pressure, right? I'm looking at the Black community. Sometimes we put extra pressure on the younger generation to come and sort of save the day, to show us how things are supposed to be, how we hope things are supposed to end up. But sometimes people crack under that pressure. Sometimes people, they can't rise up, or you haven't put enough in them to succeed. So what they end up being left with is just sort of, pressure.
You keep messing up in school. You are our last hope. You have to pass school. The generation ends at you.
Don't want to go to school though.
Okay, but you have to make sure that your family get rich and be fed.
Well, I gotta make sure that.
Because it's on you. You are the youngest. You have to make sure.
That's why I got suspended on purpose.
With that Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our last hope, man. Last hope. Help us out. You can't. The idea sounds good. Right? It sounds really good, but we know what it takes, or we should know. We should have a better idea. The soil in which you plant the tree is critically important. You're trying to put that type of pressure on someone where you haven't given them the actual tools to do that thing. And also understand this, right? And this is the money part of it. Understand this, and we'll take a quick little detour, right? Easy University. You know, right? Your kids are not your retirement plan, right? You understand that, right? Hold on. Let's complete the fit, right? You know your kids are not your retirement plan. That's not how any of this works. Okay? You sometimes what you'll see when kids get of age, then you start charging them rent. But not charge them rent like I'm going to set this aside and help you out later. No, you charge them rent because you finally, they're big, they're of age, they should be helping out financially because you didn't make it. You didn't make the right choices, the smart choices, the slow and unsexy choices. Now you want to put it on your kids. Your kids, this generation coming up after millennials and, you know, and after, they're in the worst financial position that any generation preceding has been. They're not making enough. Prices continue to increase. The ability for them to afford homes, forget about it. The average income in the United States is about $62,000. The average house is $417,000. Your child probably isn't going to be the person that makes it. Outside of them becoming a rapper, outside of them becoming in some sort of NFL, but even those, I think you have better chances to win the lottery. So your kids are not your financial future, right? You understand it, right? So yeah, you put a lot of pressure, and you're talking about suspension. No, unless he's unusually gifted, he's a savant in something. He's just supposed to be able to get that. Nah, this is again, it's undue pressure, and he's clearly indicated he is not with it. He's absolutely not with it. But yeah, it easily could have been a crashing out. Easy really crashing out. But we got more of that coming up. Let's take a look.
I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. I got road rage, been burning rubber so reckless. I'm a crash out. Got 100K on my wrist and my.
Yeah, we do enjoy crashing out. We absolutely do enjoy crashing out. Listen, section to section. Subscribe to the channel. Double tap that screen. Consider donating. All that. Super chat. All those are welcome. All right. Subscriber Sunday. Day for you guys. Day for us to have a little fun. Again, I'm not doing this live. Right? I'm not doing this live. I'm going to chat with you. I'll be laughing, kiki, and of course, ha ha ha. That's what we should be doing. So, crashing out. But with the money twist, right? But with the money twist. So I was having this conversation a couple of days ago, and we're talking about when it comes down to sometimes you have friends that are simply seeking your advice so they can get the right answer. They're going to make a stupid decision. They're coming to you because they know, you're kind of wise, specifically in certain areas. But right here, right now, they're going to keep seeking out an answer that fits what they want to do. It fits their narrative. That's a pet peeve of mine. That's an absolute pet peeve of mine. If you're looking for the right, if you're looking just to have, someone to say thumbs up, keep doing what you're doing, you're on a dumb path, but it's your path to make. I guess I can do that, but let me know that's what you want. But if you come to me for like money advice, real estate advice, and I give you advice, and you can go completely opposite of it, why bother even talking to me? Hey, why bother even talking to me? And I know you don't have to take my advice at all. But when my advice is kind of the consensus, if you come and say, should I buy this while you're in the home buying process? And I say, no, that's a dumb idea. But you keep looking for one person, you finally get them. You found that 1 out of 10 dentists that said brushing your teeth is awful. You say, you're right. My guy, you're right. Yeah, I won't do that. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend flossing. You're like, nah, I'll keep going until I find the right one. The one that actually knows the truth. God. Sometimes you just gotta get out of the way and let people talk, let people do what they gotta do and make their own mistakes.
My buddies got screwed over so bad purchasing a car. I told him the only way he's getting out of it is by totaling it. I shit you not. I told him to find the nearest tree in the middle of the night and run into it. Let me tell y'all this story. This dude called me and my buddy that had some common sense. He knew we talked about money. We're both very good with money. And he says, man, my high school car, it's a Charger, blew up on me. I'd like to get a new car. He said, what do y'all think, man? What are some cars y'all like? And I said, hey, dude, I got a Corolla. I said, it's a fucking animal. I love my Corolla. It's cheap. It's like $300 a month for a brand new one right off the lot. I was like, it gets like 54 miles a gallon.
That sounds real good right now. 54 miles, especially. Let's be real. You got a Corolla right now. You're not afraid of that thing getting beat up. You do not care. You do not care if you're driving and someone screaming. Hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Listen, I want a Porsche 911, right? Turbo. But I know right now it doesn't make sense to have expensive a car note at $2,000, $2,000 plus a month. I don't need to keep asking people until I find the right one that says, all right, this is what I should be doing. But listen, let's continue. Let's see more of this.
He goes, yeah, but man, I want something cooler. I said, man, they got like some sport options. Maybe you can go like Camry or something. I was like, even Toyota's got like that little GTR car or whatever it is. I forget the name of it. It's like a nice little sports car. It's like 30 grand, 36 grand. He tells me, he goes, yeah, but I've been looking at some other Chargers and stuff. He's like, I go into the dealership every week, and each car I like to make sure the payments are good, so I have them run my credit. I said, do what? My other buddy is just.
Could you imagine hearing that? Could you imagine hearing that? Every week I go in and they run my credit. Every week I go in and they run my credit. We're going to make the assumption everyone kind of understands how credit works and how running your credit multiple times, other inquiries will ding your credit. We're just going to let X equal everyone understands that at this big age.
Silent. I can hear the pain on the other side of the phone because I was feeling the pain. I said, please tell me. He said, nah, man. I said, hey, I want you to get on Credit Karma. He said, what is that? I said, oh my God, it's as bad as I think. I walked him through how to set up Credit Karma. I shit you not, his credit score started with a number I could count on one hand, not using a couple fingers. Yeah. Like, oh my God. I said, hey, dude, listen, I really need to talk to you man to man. I said, you need to get a used car. You need a used Corolla, used Ford Focus, Ultima, something. He said, man, I just really can't do that, man. Like, I really like my Charger. He was like,
listen, we are very familiar with that attitude in the Black community. You want to be known for something. You want to stand out. You want to be the guy. So, you're making expenses. You're making choices that are really for everyone else. Have no bearing on your life, on how you're supposed to move, on what your life actually looks like. You just want to show out. Get it. We also know how that's a trap, right? How that's a way that's full of danger. You don't have to live like that. You shouldn't live like that. But what are you supposed to do? How do you tell people do better? How do you show? Sometimes you got to get out the way and let people, make the mistake they're going to make.
everybody knows me because I drive a Charger. I said, I don't give a fuck what your small town reputation is. You need to get a used car. Your credit score is screwed up and you're not making enough money. He didn't like that answer. He didn't talk to me for another week. My common sense buddy called me the week after. He said, Cody, you got to be sitting down for this shit. I'm interested. I'm like, what is it, dude? He goes, that guy, he bought a car. I said, okay, what is it? Well, he said, it's used. And I said, well, that's good. That's what we told him to do. I said, so what kind of car are we talking about? And then there was silence. I could hear him start laughing and he goes, it's a Hellcat. Oh my God, dude. I couldn't believe what I heard.
That Hellcat has a hold on folks. On a hold. Listen, I get it, man. Especially Hemi. I get the idea. 707 horsepower. Stop. That's alluring. That's alluring. That's not right now where gas is where it's at, but I get it. I do.
I said, well, how used is this Hellcat? He said, Cody, it's got 227,000 miles on it. My entire room starts spinning. Oh God! Oh God. I can already see him getting buried in this car because he's not going to be able to afford anything else. Worst part is, here's the fatality of it. He said, it's 23% interest. Do you hear me? 23% interest.
some people need supervision, right? Yeah, you get that. Some people need supervision. That's all it is. Some people need to be supervised. Their money, their diet, their choices in life. Sometimes you need supervision. You need someone looking over you and saying, "Stop! Don't do that. Do this."
I called the non-common sense friend and I said, hey dude, listen, this is what I'm going to tell you. I said, I love you and I don't want you to fuck up your life this bad. I said, go find a tree in the dark on some random highway. Don't put anybody else in danger and you have to wreck that bitch. He hung up on me.
Listen, that's good advice. Right? That's good advice. Let's be fair. You know? That's A1 advice. Get rid of that thing. Get rid of that thing. And yes, don't put anyone else in danger. And maybe not maybe I don't want you to do a tree dirty like that, but for those of you who grew up in New York, those of you familiar with the Bronx, you know there's a strategy here for that, right? You know there's a strategy for that. There's certain blocks that, in the 90s and 2000s, you can simply park your car there. And it was guaranteed, it was damn near guaranteed. If you return the next day, it wouldn't be there. Or it'd be parted out right there. It'd be on blocks. That's another solution, right? That's thinking out the box solution. I'm not calling it fraud. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you were waylaid on the highway by robbers. No, but I think this is a scenario requires out the box thinking. And then it requires complete supervision over your finances. 23% interest. I'm damn near curious what his payments are. Damn near curious. But listen, there are better ways than living for someone else. Because it tends to get expensive, right? It always tends to get expensive. Whenever we move like this, it always tends to get stupidly expensive. And this is what we don't want for you guys, right? So literally, he should crash that thing out. You guys see what I did there? Right? You guys see what I did? I think that's worthy of subscription by itself right there. That comment right there. But when we're talking about things sort of, that was a payment that, or that was a purchase that kind of backfired that's working against you. And there are other ways that sometimes in relationships, sometimes advice given to your partner, someone you're interested, sometimes advice backfires. And one of the common things we hear about when men are dating or when men are in a relationship, you need therapy, right? Sometimes it's used as a pejorative. Sometimes it's used as an insult. And sometimes it's real. Sometimes, men do need help figuring things out. The thought is, and women, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Please feel free. Not that I can see you, right? Not that I can see you, but I'll eat crow here and now, right? In the chat. If the idea sometimes is for you get therapy so you could be a better partner for me. Maybe sometimes not me, but you can just be a better partner in general. But particularly when we're saying for me, what happens when you go to therapy and the therapist is like, your partner sucks? No, you need therapy, but part of the problem is your partner. And if we're being fair, being realistic, like we all know we're not perfect. We all know we're going to carry baggage into relationships, and we're going to bring our issues in. Sometimes, you could be problematic. I think that's more than fair to accept.
I begged him to get therapy, and now I wish he never went. Oh. I feel like such an awful, terrible person. He's had such a terrible life and obtained zero coping skills as a result. I love him enough to have begged him to go to therapy and just talk to someone unbiased about how low he feels. It took a little bit of coaxing, but he agreed, and I was so proud of him.
All loving it, all makes sense. All the things that you want men to do, good. He's on board. He realizes you've convinced him. Let's pretend you didn't nag him. We'll go with that. You just convinced him, hey, there are things that you're experiencing that I can't help you through, and you need this. I want this for you. You'd feel better. You'd feel more relieved. You'd be a more present, focused, and attentive partner. And I think we both deserve that. That sounds good, right?
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Someone write that down if you need to tell your partner to go to therapy.
Now I have egg on my face because he did, and it might be ruining us. After his third session last night, he came home and just unloaded on me. told me about all of the grievances he's been bottling up since the start of us getting serious. Some I understood and promised to change. Some completely blindsided me and didn't make a ton of sense, to be honest. I'm still proud of him, and I know he needs to learn to state his issues in the moment. He's very non-confrontational, but it was a lot. And I feel weird about bringing it up with my own therapist, who I don't even see for 2 weeks because it feels like a violation of his privacy.
I don't get that. Because he told you something, and that's not how privacy works. But fine, you regret some of the stuff they had to say, because part of what makes a lot of relationship actually viable, what makes a lot of it work traditionally in the way we've looked at relationship, is men being quiet, taking it on the chin, just saying, okay, cool, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll twist myself in a knot to find the solution. And the solution usually isn't confronting you and saying, hey, you kind of suck, right? That thing you did, it kind of sucks. Now, I get it. Probably one of my pet peeves or things I refuse to do is be confronted with a bunch of ish. I'll make room for you to talk to me. But when you decide to simply unload and just like, blah, word salad, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. But listen, again, I'll give you lane. I'll give you opportunity. I'll give you a roadmap, how we could discuss these things, how we could put a pause and let you figure things out before we discuss them. But you just want to, word salad. I barely eat enough salads as it is. I'm not eating your word salad. I'm not doing it.
I'm happy he's getting himself sorted out, but if it means he's continually going to come home enlightened about all the things wrong with us without me there to defend myself, I might not be able to withstand it. Am I a bad person?
No, you're not a bad person. You just haven't really confronted or done some of the work that you think you've done. Listen, the truth is, a lot of us go to, when we say you need to go to therapy or that I go to therapy, you think it gives you a relational one-up. You think somehow it makes you a better, more viable partner. Yeah, sure, sometimes, but other times it just means you go to therapy. It doesn't necessarily make you better. The assumption that every man needs therapy like you do, that's really not the case. Yeah, yes, there's always going to be something for you to work on, something for you to improve. But therapy really is there when you get stuck, in a rut, you can't sort of figure your way out, when it is now affecting more and more parts of your life. But a lot of us are functional. A lot of us are getting going and doing what we can. But if you want to say, well, you could do these things to brush up on these things, okay, that's fine. But now understand, when we open up sort of Pandora's box, there may be stuff in there that you may not want to hear about yourself. Now, if truly we don't have a functional relationship, then this is something that is bigger than just, hey, go off to therapy, do whatever you need to do. But now you're feeling like I need to defend myself. You need to defend yourself from him coming there and having private conversations with his therapist. We understand that. I hope we understand. You're in therapy, and some of the stuff that you're saying, yeah, can be inflammatory, defamatory towards your partner. And they could all be wrong. But that's between you and your therapist to sort out. If I think, yo, man, she's just such a bitch. I hate everything about her. It may take us some time to work through why I currently think and feel that way, yet haven't left the relationship, yet have no plans to leave the relationship. There's an imbalance. There's something misfiring. There's dysfunction here in the way I'm seeing things, and it may have nothing to do with you. You got to give people time to work through that. But when you send people off to therapy and immediately think, here's improvement, I'm supposed to see that, you're really just kind of weaponizing therapy as a, hey, go check yourself, go fix yourself. If you want him to go to couples therapy, you guys want to go to couples therapy, then that's a different thing. But already coming with the idea or thinking the idea that you need to defend your position in therapy is why men tend to say, I'm not going to therapy, right? I'm not going to go to couples therapy. So I can come in there, I can say what I feel, what I believe, and here you are telling me, defending your position of why you do this versus this, rather than getting towards the animating issue. can't always be in the right. You can't always be in the wrong. But if you're telling men to go get therapy, understand there's probably some things in there that you're not going to want to hear about yourself. You're not going to want to hear when you say be emotionally open. You don't want to hear everything he's saying or thinking about you, because some of the stuff is not positive. We understand that. We say this is probably not the most important thing, but in truth, some of the stuff does need to be said. Yes, in the moment. When we talk about peace as men, right? We often love to talk about this. Understand this. Most peace was never attained without a war. Financial war, political war, physical war. So when something does happen in your relationship, something that does bother you, and you say, I don't want to talk about it because I'm just going to be the one that's made wrong. Well, that's indicative of you not talking about things for quite some time. If you're talking to your partner and it constantly becomes your fault, you're gaslit, led to believe that I only did this because you did this, that is the stable of how your relationships go, your conversations go, then your relationship is in trouble because it's on the back of you making yourself smaller. This goes to either gender, right? Let's be fair, this either gender. If you constantly have to shrink yourself to keep the peace, then you're not at peace. You're just at a prolonged, sort of drawn out war. Better to end it. Better to end it than think that this is the way you should supposed to exist. Because the longer we're together, the more we join our lives together, the more we have to build, the more we have to tear apart when it comes time when this invariably ends. Let's have the conversation in real time, as close to real time as possible. Otherwise, you got to understand, you got to give some people grace when they come back and they have the techniques now to actually communicate with you. This is what you wanted. You didn't want a platform in which you could debate, where you could go back and forth. You wanted your partner more expressive. You just want to make sure you're positively represented in all the things. You want to make sure you're, no. Some things you may not like. Some things you may agree with. Some things you may not like. And that's part and parcel of just being in a relationship. But weaponizing the idea of therapy and all this is where we usually find ourselves in some sort of trouble. And again, this is sometimes not just works out in actual relationships. Sometimes the things you tell your partner to do turns around, it's detrimental for what you actually want. Their desires aren't in line with yours. And that's a very normal thing. It just feels weird when you have egg on your face.
Just like, hey, we're still, getting to know each other. So I suggested, like, hey, maybe you should see other people too, and like see if like even if I'm a good match for you. Tell me why this man found a girl in literally 2 days and was on a date with her. It's the fact that it was like, I only want you, like I'm pursuing you, like I could see with you. And I said, okay, go on a date with one other girl. And she looked like me. It was the worst part. You have a few drinks with your girls and like you call like, your man, like the guy you like, and you're like, what are you doing? And he picks up and he's like, yo, what's good? I'm like, why do you sound so nervous right now? And he's like, no, nothing, but like, what's going on? Keep in mind, this man did not want to do this. He only did it because I said like, hey, like I don't trust I'm not just getting kidnapped and love bombed. My drunk ass, like I start calculating and I'm like, you're on a fucking date right now, aren't you? And he's like, and he hangs up the phone and I'm like, yo, what the I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, come get me right now after your date. He picks me up. I ate them because I'm drunk and shameless, obviously.
She ate their steak leftovers.
Basically, we were exclusive after that day.
All right. This is why sometimes we have trouble believing what you say. Right? As women, sometimes you understand. That's why sometimes men say, I don't really believe what you're saying. Right? I got a better chance of, I believe what you react to. You want me to, I don't think you're serious about what I'm talking about. I don't think you really want what I want. Why don't you just date another woman, see how you feel? Okay. That's not what I want to do. I know he picked up while he was on that date. He picked up. For you. Okay, I'm doing it for now. You got it. Now you're upset about it. Again, is this what it? I think this is real. Is real more so immaturity than anything else. But it's up to you, right? And shameless foreshadowing. You get to agree or disagree. right, agree or disagree. So this is simple. Again, section to section, like, comment, subscribe, right? All that. Double tap the screen, subscribe to the channel. Best way to help. Donate if you feel so moved. Subscribe Sundays, right? We're having some fun. At least I'm having some fun. I'm assuming you guys are having fun in the chat. Regrettably, if I'm not there, I'm not there. But there's a chance I get back home in time and I'll just run the show, right? I'll just cancel this and I'll run the actual show. If not, hopefully you guys in the chat enjoy yourself. Hopefully we got new subscribers to the channel, new people in here saying, oh shit, what is this? Oh crap, what is this? I'm enjoying myself. Right? So if you want us people just kind of sitting in back, lurking, not watching, not volunteering in class to read the next chapter, come up, right? Come up. It's fine. We're having a good time. By now you get the idea what we're trying to do here. We're having conversations and we're seeing what makes sense. We're bringing some things to the forefront, but we got a main topic coming up. That's the next section, right? And then I'm going to release you guys, on it's going to R&R. You can do what you got to do before you prepare for work tomorrow. But for now, we got two topics, one in which I had to have a couple of different conversations about because I was wondering about this topic. But I don't want to do the foreshadowing for this one. We'll just lead right to this one, first. And then we can talk about the main one I want to see how you guys feel about.
I think that men are so hyperfixated on their looks because of the fact that women no longer want to date them. And I think
so. I picked this one because what I constantly talk about is I don't think women understand men, or as frequently as women speak for men, I don't think you get us. And it gets to this point where it's hard to have real conversations with you. It's hard to have honest dialogue because some of the connections that you make are based on assumptions, based on your particular experience. And then you say it's for all of us. But when we try to follow some of what you're saying logically, right, because we're making less logical leaps and it's easier to make emotional leaps, we have trouble understanding exactly what you're talking about. What we see as men, and this is part I want you to agree or disagree with, you take a lot of terms, you take a lot of disparate ideas, and you try to mush them together to make sense. This is real here, and this equals this here, but if I move this over here, this conversation, you think this truth holds, but you're taking things essentially out of context and trying to string a bunch of things that are true in separate contexts, and you want to put them into one conventional sort of statement, and we're often look like I don't know what you're trying to say.
I think that this is a reaction to incel culture, but in the opposite direction. Incels fault. They're like, oh, you don't want to fuck me, fuck you. I'm never fucking anybody again. I'm going to be celibate. I'm going to hate you. And then.
No, right? Incel is involuntary celibate. Like I'm trying, right? That's the idea. I'm trying yet I'm not finding success. Yes. Does that now lead to people having rage in more and more fringe places? Absolutely. But it's not saying now I'm celibate because you guys refuse to sleep with me. No, I want you to. No, I desperately want you to. But I'm not getting that result. But we understand it's not even a nuanced difference.
The looks maxers are like, you don't want to fuck me? I must not be fine enough. Let me get finer.
Do you think it's a recession indicator?
What? Okay. When you look at how often women will talk about that all the men are cooked, all the men are chopped, all the men are ugly. Okay. So now you have a subset, a smaller group of men who there's always a group, there's always a subset from pickup artists to people exclusively say you have to do these things to become attractive to women, get your body right, have a certain hairstyle, certain look, have money. There's always that. So the latest offshoot is looks maxing. But is it hand in hand with you calling men ugly? So here's a response for a growing critique of men. Yo, you're ugly. There are no sexy men. I feel like it's every once in a blue moon you find an attractive man, but I see all these gorgeous women outside. Okay, now you have an offshoot that said, I'm going to focus on becoming attractive. I'm going to look at the things that women determine to say they're attractive. Doesn't matter the metric, doesn't matter if you agree with it, but now you have a group that is solely focused on making sure they look good. And you think it's a recession indicator? What? Again, a lot of conversations would benefit from having an honest man in your group, not someone that simply doesn't want to rock the boat, but tells you the truth. Tells you the truth, like, you're very far off.
Because men, I feel like in a heterosexual context, tend to be looked at as like breadwinners, people who bring home the bacon, people who can fund.
Okay, a truism out of context, put in a conversation about look maxing.
A family or a certain type of lifestyle.
Maybe a little bit, but overall, the true reasoning behind it is the fact that as women, we are now the most independent we've ever been. We don't need men for shit. And we're kind of disillusioned to the idea of marriage and children because healthcare, children are expensive. It fucks your whole body up. Yeah. They leave you anyway. It's all these.
So again, from look maxing to recession indicators saying that, okay, I get that in that context of saying, well, things are more expensive. So if men are supposed to be the only ones, if we look at men and we say, your job is to pay for stuff, is to provide. So as a recession indicator, because you can't do that anymore, now women don't want to do these things, or they don't want to do them on their own dime because now they're making enough money. Now they're making their money on their own, but now they're looking and saying, well, what do I need you for? Because I'm making money. Now, listen, the larger issue here is, and this is plagued full of issues, large issues, whenever you hear the conversation about what do you need a man for? Women are making their own money. It's because when you only value us for money, then when you make your own, then you see, well, I don't have a need for you. Okay, let's get hyperbolic. Let's get a little silly with the rebuttal example. From a man's point of view, if I don't want babies, what good is a woman? This is when your response is all the intangibles, right? All the other things that you can do, how you can make a house a home, how you can multiply what I'm bringing in, how you can do the feminine soft things. But I don't need or want any of those. I want a sex robot from China. I've got a sex robot from China, or I have no issue paying for it. What do I need a woman for? What do I need a wife for? This is the same conversation. When I boil things down from you to saying, if you can't cook or clean for me, I don't need a woman. I can cook and clean for myself. Men can cook and clean. What do they need a woman for? Well, now you're going to say what? Children. You're going to bring in all these other things that you want to be valued for. But when you have a campaign going forward, devaluing men and bringing them down to simply what they can do, produces their wallet, then you turn around and say, well, I do those things. What do I need you for? You already reduced me down to nothing. Of course you don't need me for that. You don't see my value. You don't see what else, how being around me can change your life. Discipline, security. You don't see any of those things. You don't see the value of masculinity because you have so many of its traits. Because it becomes popular to criticize it. So its value is missing from you. You're void of it. So now all you do is, I'll make some money. I don't need you. Okay, what about for you, for the larger group of women, for majority of women that don't make enough money, but they still adopted that same attitude that has been put forward? And I think that's more the majority of what you see online. We get it. Online is a small sliver of space, but everyone online can't be making $100,000 a month, right? We're realistic, right? We understand it, right? Everyone online is not making $100,000 a month. Some of these people that are sitting here having those same conversations, that's sitting on podcasts, don't make anything like that. There's a hope that this thing, breaks wide, opens up, and you can find yourself in that position. But when you say women are making money, the average, we have to go by what the data says. So if you're thinking, I don't need a man because I make $60,000 a year. Therefore, there's no benefit from having a man around. I can have kids. I can have a very full life. I don't need a man around. Who are we to stop you? Who are we to stop you? I never want to be with someone that I have to convince to be with. I don't want to have to come there and prostrate myself and show you, here, look at the things I do. You hate the question when men say, what do you bring to the table? They say, what is the value here? If you want me to do these things, what is the value here? Sometimes you get upset at the particular question, but I'm still fishing for those answers without the question. I'm still going to wonder. I'm still going to talk. And through conversations I'm having with you, through how you answer my questions, my evaluations, I'm still getting to the root of that answer. It's just not direct. You may not like the direct question, but this is essentially what dating is about. Outside of, I kind of really like being around her. Now I got to see and evaluate. If you understand what dating should be doing, if you understand vetting, now you start asking, what value would that person bring to my life if I brought them closer into mine? If I decided to take responsibility, what would happen? How would my life change? I still have blanks. I still have questions. I still have misunderstanding. I don't have answers to these. So that's why the relationship stalls. It's not like we stop seeing each other, but this is why it doesn't advance. This is why it stays right here. You turn around and now you have conversations about, well, what's wrong with men? How come we won't commit? Well, you still haven't answered the question. I may have never asked it flat out and said, what do you bring to the table? But I've evaluated and said, you don't bring enough. But hey, right? I'm still a man. Hey, I'm still here. Maybe if I hang out long enough, I can see that. I can come to that conclusion. I can see the answer. But when you look at what is being told, what's being pushed out to women, don't do those things that demonstrate your value until you get a commitment, until you get a ring, until you are a wife. Then he unlocks that premium membership. Then you get to demonstrate what he's supposed to be getting. That's a fair way if you want to move, if you want to think, if you want to behave. All I'm saying is it's farther away from what men are looking for. When we're not anywhere on that same page, what you end up doing is filling in the blanks. You end up filling in the blanks with things that could contextually make sense, but in reality, they don't. And as long as you have these conversations, and sometimes they're not even of people of, you're heterosexual, she's homosexual, but you guys still talking about men. You got a homosexual man and a heterosexual woman talking about dating men. You're talking about two different types of men, but you're taking dating advice for this man that, and other men are looking and say, okay, you rather do that than actually have a conversation with a man that makes it some type of sense. This is my 2 cents on it. This is what kind of doesn't make sense to me, but we see so much of it. We see so much of it and thinking that this is what it is. This makes sense. But on the very same vein, this next clip, again, it may reflect a pet peeve of mine or something that I constantly think about. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this.
It concerns me that your wife has not been talking to you for 3 days and you don't know why. If I was your therapist, I would. It's never for no reason. If you're with a person every day and they're upset with you and you have no reason why, that is a massive indicator to me that more attention needs to be paid, 1, and 2, more questions need to be asked. Maybe it's something you don't want to confront right now. Maybe it's a truth you don't want to face. And I get that. We have to confront uncomfortable truths. Running from it will not save you. This is how I would do it. Babe, we haven't talked in 3 days. I know that you're upset with me, but I want to help resolve this issue. What is making you feel this way? It's one thing to make this her problem or your problem. It's another thing to make this a problem that you take the lead on, but it's a group project. If you've been so upset about it that you've been down and out and mentally drained for 2 or 3 days, I don't think there's a thing she can say to you that won't make you defensive. I don't think there's a way that you can get defensive that won't make her go back into her shell and stop talking again. This isn't a time to defend yourself, to respond with your intention. There will be time for that later. You shut up and you listen.
So this is all sounds like it, great advice. My concern, right? My disagreement with this is when we're adults and we understand that we constantly criticize men for their lack of communication, the lack of ability to communicate. We call them they're emotionally immature. They don't respond well to things when it comes down to emotion. Until you find someone that does, until you find a man that understands where his emotions are in terms of his masculinity, it's still going to be masculine. It's still going to be masculine. And when men think about things, in this case, our minds are very cause and effect. We're very, crime and punishment, crime and justice. When someone breaks the rules, we want to see that there's some sort of enforcement. There's something else that comes in there. You can say we lack this to live in the gray. This is sometimes common how we're designed, how we sort of move. This makes sense to us. Telling us to become more emotionally open doesn't necessarily mean that we should become more feminine like you. You want us to increase our skill of communication, of being understanding, of understanding ourselves and what we need and speaking up for ourselves. Cool. I love that. Right? I had to work on that myself. And I'm proud of the work and the distance between who I was and who I am. However, this is usually focused on men because we evaluate men and say, you're in the deficit. You're lacking because we're looking at relationships from a feminine lens. This advice that he's given you, you guys have not talked in 3 days, and you don't know why as a man. Let's extract that out. Let's play that out. Let's stress that a little bit more. You don't know. You don't know because you don't see something that you did wrong. You don't see where you misstepped. That doesn't mean you misstepped. That doesn't mean you did something. If you don't see it, we're being genuine. We're being honest with people. We're just saying both of us are doing our best we can in this relationship, and I don't know why you stopped talking to me 3 days for 3 days. Why is it constantly incumbent on me as a man? Now go and figure it out for you. Why am I subject to a lack of communication? And it's now incumbent upon me to go solve that. You want to call it leadership. That sounds really good, but it's so vague. As a man, as a leader, you get to decide how things are supposed to make sense. When someone, generally speaking, in business, in life in general, when someone withdraws from the conversation or a duty, do you go and say to them, I need to coax you out of what you're thinking, how you're feeling, or do I set the standard in the very beginning? You go to a new job, you're in a new relationship. You should be talking about how the best way to communicate with you is, how the best way to be addressed. It's not saying that I need you to dance around my triggers. I need you to understand me. This is a process of dating. This is a process of you getting to know each other. Now we're married. Why do we think silent treatment is a viable way of communication? It's literally the opposite of it. But how many men in the chat, let us know, have been subject to the silent treatment? This is something that we say is a normal, regular, degular thing in the female, in a woman's playbook. You're allowed to simply stop communicating, and he should just know. Telepathy needs to be involved for a man in a relationship, but it shouldn't. This advice is saying, okay, yes, go be a leader. Go figure it out. Go create the space in which she can feel comfortable to talk about what it is. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. But if your toddler did that, if your toddler did that, you'd understand. You'd give forgiveness in that. You'd give grace because it's a toddler. There's very little emotional control, very little understanding. They're supposed to be picking that up from you and the rest of the world. But here you have, this is your wife, someone that has navigated the world to a high degree of success. Now we're not trying to catastrophize and say, well, she had to tell you this so many different times. There has to be a reason. Yes, there's a reason. However, because a reason exists does not mean it's incumbent upon me to put everything on my back in this relationship. You decide you don't want to talk to me. I have to figure it out. I have to come to you and say, well, here's Elaine. Here's why we should figure this out. We understand you flip that and the man is at fault. Now the man, you're not leading properly. Thought I was leading properly the first time when I made it clear how to communicate with me. When you made it clear how to communicate with you. And nowhere did we decide lack of communication is a strategy. Lack of communication is a viable option for us moving forward. If you stop doing a thing, I'm going to treat you like an adult and say this was an informed decision of yours. You don't want to talk about something? We've already talked about, hey, if you're not ready to talk about something, you can say that, and I'll respect that. I'll hold space for this. I'll continue to stir the concrete so it doesn't solidify. I'll give you the time to do that. Respect me enough not to take forever. I'm fine with that. That's communication. You suddenly decide I'm not going to talk because you did not behave the way I needed you to behave exactly when it was time for you to behave like that, or you were simply in a bad mood. Something else happened. Something else was bothering you, and then I'm the one that took the brunt of it, and you decided, I just can't do it right now. I'm not talking to you. And then when you do bring it up days later, 3 days later, you don't say anything. Why is it constantly incumbent upon me? I push back on this because my fear is that it condones the behavior. It makes it sound like this is, yes, a viable strategy for communication. And it's literally not communicating. Now, we're putting it on the man's back. It concerns me that you don't know. No, if I've made the lane available for her to communicate with me, this is a relationship. This requires equal effort. This is not a 50-50 conversation. This is what you're going to put in, what you think should be put. You don't get a buy. You don't get to be treated like a toddler, like you're just pouting and throwing a tantrum. I don't want to talk to you. So it's okay that during this time where you decide you're not going to talk to me, I've thought about the worst things. I've catastrophized. I don't know why you're upset. I genuinely don't know why you're upset. I'm not saying that this is a symptom of another. No, in this example, I don't know why you're upset with me. I'm supposed to come not knowing why you're upset and create the space for you to talk and then not be defensive. I've got to let you get this out. When you tell men this, even men that understand, even men that are healed, you understand that there's a limit of patience. I'm supposed to give you grace. I'm supposed to have unlimited patience to you. And I get that. But when we keep heaping things on the back of a man and saying, if you don't figure this out, catastrophe. If you don't do catastrophe, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. You understand that at some point in time, people start asking you that very real question. Is the juice worth the squeeze? If I can't be with someone that's a fully functional adult that can communicate even when they're exhausted and say, I am bothered, but I can't put it together right now. Can you give me time? Yeah, I absolutely can. I absolutely can. But when you shut down and it just brings me forward, it brings me saying, let me go figure this out. Let me go make this happen. Let me go clear the air. This is why we have the happy wife, happy life. This is why we end up with men feeling small and small and smaller, where I have to now manage you so you can manage your feelings. Now, whenever you need to, you have the high joker, you have the wild draw 4. You can just put this down and get the reaction from me that you need, that you're expecting. This is the problem. You keep heaping it on men's back when you say they lack these same things because you look at relations from a feminine lens. And then when they have it, an emotionally intelligent man is not necessarily a feminine one. I'm emotionally intelligent. I'm not feminine. You get with me when I talk about how I look at things in emotional. And if in relationships, I'm still very much disciplined. If I inform you how to talk to me, I give you examples, I'll give you grace. The first time it doesn't, hey, this happened. Hey, let's talk about this again. This is what happened. This is what tripped me up. Okay, we'll do it again. We'll have that conversation again. What happens when you cross that boundary once again? I'm gone. I've made it clear to you, you're an adult. You understand the right from wrong. You don't get to shit test me when I made the boundaries exceptionally clear. It's not right. Again, this advice sounds good. It sounds great, but it's not really helping men. It's not really, yes, you just want them to be more emotionally intelligent. You want them to teach them how to hold space. Who does that for them? When you make the mistake of saying that women are more emotionally intelligent by default, without requiring work, without it requiring real effort to understand, well, how do you communicate with the man? What's important to him? How does he move? How does he think? You put that on the backs of men and get surprised when they say, yo, I'm good. I'm good. Even emotional men may have the same response that unhealed men may have. I don't want to deal with it. We may arrive there for very different reasons, but we're there nonetheless. Listen, again, I would love to be in the comments and in real time with you guys back and forth about this issue, but I'm in a chat, right? I'm in a chat. And if you guys want to have more of these conversations later on, again, subscribe. I don't mind doing a more fleshed out live stream about this, even a call-in show if you guys are up for it. But again, off to the last one. Let's talk about it. Again, Subscriber Sunday, guys, thank you for being here. Hopefully I'm seeing a bunch of you in the chat. We're making jokes, all that stuff. If I'm not, again, it's just life got a little busy right now, but I'd still want to have something good, golden, and good-ish, in my opinion, good-ish. So again, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, double tap the screen, right? Like the stream. Feel free to support, donate. All that is appreciated. All that is appreciated. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Sundays is for you guys. So listen, we're going to get straight into it because I'm kind of running a long time. I should have been out the house already, but none of that. We're still going to give our best effort. We're still going to actually put in what we should be putting in. So here we go, right? About the main topic, the main idea. Okay, first, we'll let this marinate a little bit.
Some women, they're expecting their man to pay for the date, to take care of their tire pressure, to clean out their car, to pay their rent, to pay for their school, to pay for their weave, weave is expensive, so I get it, to pay for their nails, their pedicure, their facials, and to go to the spas, you're talking about $300 a pop. They're expecting all of this from their man, and some men are like, okay, cool, and other ones like, unless you have a ring, it's not my responsibility. And I get the caution the men have, but being generous should mark your dating experience both ways. I believe a woman should be generous. She should know, okay, my man has like a test coming up or he has like a big presentation. I'm going to DoorDash him food. I think she should do that. She should not reach out for her wallet to pay for the date, but maybe every now and then just do it just because. And at the same time,
So listen to the language. Reach out to pay. Reach out, right? Let him do all these things. Let him take care of me in in all these ways financially. But my part in that is minuscule. I just have to show the effort. Let me DoorDash him something simple. We understand there's a real imbalance here. The idea that this man is supposed to be able to pay for all these things in the courting process, he's supposed to be able to pay for all these things in the whole relationship, in the marriage. Yet, why would he, a man that's able to do these things, Why would he choose someone not really willing or able to do the same for him? We constantly ignore the things that men say that is important to them, that they want. We look at it, we hear it, and then we dismiss it, and then we pretend like we understand what men are talking about. This is the norm. This is what we see all the time. The reality is very much different. The reality is very much different. Most people that if you're rich, you're in that station, you get with other people that are rich. It's not Cinderella. It's not a fairy tale. Men don't come from down from on high and say, you, let's go. I know the narrative has been, yo, you'll take someone that works at, Wendy's, uneducated, but she treats me right. There is some truth to that because there's such a void in men feeling like they've been treated right, of femininity. But the reality says differently. The reality is still what it is. People from the similar socioeconomic groups tend to get together. People being race loyal is still a very real thing. Upwards of 80%, 90% when you actually make over 200K combined. That's where we are. But the narrative that a man is supposed to do all these things, it only makes things more difficult, right? As in, you want to talk about men aren't the prize. Yet the men that can do this are an increasingly small amount. We take just a couple of factors. You take height, that women clamor about being 6 feet. You take making over $100,000 in the Black community. Well, in the United States, 14% of men are 6 feet or above. Then in the Black community, 6% of men make over 100 grand. So those two things already put you in a very, 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 very narrow band. So, and it's not as if we're having this conversation in a vacuum where men aren't listening to what's being said. They don't hear it. They don't see it for themselves. And they have the time to turn around and say, I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to get what I want. In this world where it took me time to become who I am, I'm going to get what I want. And what men of that caliber and station want, they do want someone with education. They do want someone with drive and ambition of their own. They also want to make sure they're feminine. That could still be higher on the totem pole, but it's still important to them. Saying that you're going to choose femininity is the thing, but you want someone that's also educated and feminine. Yeah. We're talking, you want someone that's going to be the first teacher of your children. You want them to be uneducated? You want them to have no goals, no ambition? I'd rather you be a doctor, lawyer, set those aside and you say, well, I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home wife, but I also wanted my education was important. It sets a beautiful example to the children. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I make enough where you don't have to do that and we can have a wonderful life. Once the kids are of age and you want to go back and rekindle that thing, yeah, sure. You want to do that part-time? Yeah, sure. That's how it really works. That's what really happens over there. Otherwise, in 72% of marriages, you're going to work, right? Even in those marriages where that can happen, you're going to work. Where you make the mistake, where you've been lied to, is that you see these things on social media and you think they're truth, you think they're gospel. You see these one-off scenarios and you see them often. And sometimes they're not real. You're just inundated with it. You're inundated with this idea that this is how it's supposed to work. And because the algorithm is reflexive, the algorithm wants to show you what you want to see, so they put that out. I want to get views. So I simply adhere to what everyone else wants to see. That person made a skit, a video. They said these things. Men are bad. Men suck. Get a rich man. They said that. You guys loved it. So I do the same thing because I want you to love what I'm putting out because that puts dollars in my pocket. And someone else copies it and someone else copies it. And it's a game of phone. But how many people in that phone, how many people actually experience that? Yeah, probably close to none. But it sounds good. It looks good. And that's enough. So now you take that, you internalize that. Now this is your roadmap. You think this is how reality is. You think that's how it works for you. But it's far from the truth. But how do you get a chance to wake up and see that when all it is happening around you again and again and again and again? You believe the fairy tale. But now you're in the basement, sweeping. You're missing your shoe. There's no prince that comes and tries it on with a bunch of women in your house. Doesn't happen. No one saw the shoe. He attended an event and he found the wife that his parents picked out for him. He saw someone of equal station and he went and ruled the kingdom, and you stayed where you were. We make it seem as beauty is the end all be all, but we make it seem as it's only seen in poor women. It's only seen in a regular. There's beautiful rich women. There's beautiful women from great families that went to Harvard with that guy. They went to Yale with that guy. They choose amongst each other. So do you. So do you. You choose amongst each other. It's not very often you find yourself in these places with these other type of men where you just say, oh, I'm going to up and level up. Men, sometimes they'll come down, they'll play around, but we talk about who you actually end up with becomes the actual telltale sign. We try to pretend like that's not real. We try to pretend like that doesn't happen. We got to be realistic at some point in time and say, hey, the fairy tale. I'd be better served if I could disabuse myself of that fact very early on in my life. I could start making informed, real decisions. I can say, this is who I should be with. This is what makes sense for me. This is the reality. It's not telling you to settle. It's telling you to be realistic, to open your eyes and look at yourself realistically, or as close to it as you can get. The more you go out and say, I'm a 10, I don't need any work. These men ain't shit. These men are ones that are lacking in some sort of way. I'm never going to be the one that tells you, stop. Don't ever do that. Just let time tell you the truth. I still contend it's the most important thing that you can never really get back. As you waste decades of your life with an ideology that you never really believed in. You accepted it, you never really believed in it. It never came from you. When pushed, when you allow yourself to be pushed, you abandon it so quickly. Because it was never yours. It was a fairy tale. They told it to you for whatever reason, and you believed that you never challenged it. This is, unfortunately, it's like you took the red or blue pill. You stayed in the matrix, and eventually at one point in time, you wake up. And the matrix says some people naturally wake up. Some people are naturally attuned. They wake up on their own. Oh, wow. This is what the real world is like. This is essentially what the red pill was supposed to be about. We took the worst of it and we highlighted that because we didn't like the messaging. It was saying, hey, look at yourself, look at the world clearly, the mistakes you've made, there's areas where you need to improve. Improve, get better options. That's it. That's the red pill. The red pill is a thing that's going to help a lot of you wake up and enter the red pill in the way I've described it, not in the way we've accepted how it's supposed to be in society, as we don't want more people to move like that. This is what it is. This is how it makes sense. This is my thought. I believe this. I think this makes sense. I think this is real. I think the longer you stay with this notion that someone's supposed to come and save you, that's not going to happen. We understand that. Man that has done all those things that you're looking for. Why would you find someone that doesn't exemplify a tenth of that? Why? We hear so many reasons behind it. We hear so many copes. Oh, the man for me is never going to miss me. Sure. Because he hasn't. The man for you are the ones that have been around you. That's your station. That's the reflexive algorithm of life. That's who you're supposed to be with. Your attitude, your discipline, the way you carry yourself, you can see it in the people around you. You can see in the people that decide that they want to be around you. This is what it is. It seems unfortunate, it seems unfair, but this is closer to reality than not. We want to all be closer to reality than not. I think that's fair to say. Well, listen, that's got to be my time. I gotta run. I gotta get ready for work and all the good stuff. And hopefully I get this up even better, that I'm actually here to have the live stream with you guys. That would be the best, scenario. But for those of you, again, you're new here, enjoyed it, double tap, like the stream, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Sundays. It's always fun, even when I'm in the chat with you guys. So hopefully I'll see a lot of you guys on the next one.